Hi, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh. I want to do another installment in my series called The Rules of a Pastor. Now, in the Rules of a Pastor, we need to keep ourselves accountable to a friend. Okay, we need to keep ourselves accountable to a friend that can ask you the hard questions. As a pastor, it's very easy to be overcome by the temptations and the difficulties of life. And sometimes what a pastor needs is someone to come alongside them that's grounded, that will be able to talk to them about those difficult issues, talk to them about their home life, talk to him about the way in which his family is, the way his wife is, the way his home life is. A person's life can deteriorate and fall apart simply on the basis of family life. So this might sound like a very obvious thing, but you need to keep yourself accountable to a friend who can visit you from time to time, specifically with the intention of talking to you and asking the questions that nobody else will ask. Now, this sounds scary. Well, frankly, it is. If you're lacking in self-confidence, of course, having an accountability session is not going to be helpful without the courage of your friend to be able to ask you things and to make observations that might be hard to hear. We have a notable example of this in the life of Moses. His father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, he was a Gentile priest who gave his daughter to Moses during his exile in Midian and after his escape from Egypt as a young man. Jethro was an exceptionally wise old priest. He came to Moses, who was now beyond his 80s, which put Jethro probably well over 100. And he came, no doubt, to visit the family, his daughter, his grandchildren. And Moses probably very proudly showed him all around. But Jethro was not happy with everything he saw. He said, "Moses, what are you doing?" Moses said, well, he might have been surprised at his frankness. "What?" he said Moses. He says, "You're serving God every day to the point of complete exhaustion. You deal with every issue that is presented to you, and this means that you have perhaps hundreds of decisions to make every day." Moses probably replied, "Well, what do you expect me to do?" And so the wise old priest of Midian said, "Why don't you appoint a complete structure of judges over the people, leaders over tens and fifties and hundreds and thousands? And you, Moses, can train them, and you can authorize them to take on most of your work. But you can still retain control over them and deal with the very big issues on your own account. Now, if you don't do this, then you will wear yourself out." Jethro was advising him against burnout. And it's possible that later in his life, Moses did have burnout in spite of everything. And at that particular time, he seemed to lose all control, and he lost his temper as well. And Moses was known to be the meekest man who ever lived, and yet he finally, at the end, lost his temper. So Moses immediately understood the wisdom of this advice from his father-in-law, and he implemented his suggestions. So what can we learn from this? Well, first we see that the priest of Midian was faithful as a father and as a friend to Moses in pointing out the most obvious nature of Moses' unhealthy lifestyle and leadership arrangement. And Moses was prepared to listen. Wow. That's a great man, A great man isn't a man who does everything perfect. A great man is a man who recognizes when he doesn't do perfect and is prepared to listen. And so it says in Exodus chapter 18, it says, "If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied." Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel, and he made them leaders of the people. officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. And they served as judges for the people at all times. And the difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided for themselves. Now, here's a series of questions. First question is, have you found that at times you have far too much to do? First question. Second question, do you find that sometimes it affects your health, or in fact, your mental well-being? Next question, how good are you at delegating responsibilities? Now, I can hear some of you say, yeah, but people don't do things right when I ask them to do it. I know. It's your job to train them and help them to be able to do things right. That's your job. What people do you have alongside your ministry that take the strain of you doing everything in your ministry or in your church? And lastly, have you ever trained anyone in your team to help you in the ministry? If you haven't done that, then you can't blame them for not being able to help you. You know that the ministry is tough. You know the ministry is difficult sometimes. You know that sometimes there's certain things that need to be done in certain ways. Well, teach people to do them in those ways. Release yourself of some of the burden of ministry. That's our big lesson for today. So we look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day, and God bless you all. Bye for now.